What we're going to talk about now is just a little preliminary guidance on how to manage your reins and the different types of reins and so on. And we'll get into this more later, but right now there's some folks out there that are interested in just how to manage your reins when you ride your horse. So, when you ride the horse, when we first start out, we're going to ride him in a snaffle bit. And then we're going to then graduate that horse onto a curb bit where we can ride one-handed. So proper etiquette is that, in my opinion, you don't want to ride a horse one-handed in a snaffle bit. You want to ride him two-handed, direct rein in a snaffle bit. And then we'll transition him over to one-handed in a curb bit. A curb bit is designed years ago to replace your right hand. So if I'm riding and I'm a soldier or I'm a cowboy or a rancher or whatever, and I need my hand to do certain duties off my horse, I have to reserve that for employment. So I have to be able to control my horse and guide my horse with one hand, which is my left hand. So if you're going to ride one-handed, I'd recommend you ride with your left hand and reserve your right hand for employment. Now, if you're left-handed, I guess you could probably do it the other way, but it just seems like it works best for me to go left-handed. So this is a kind of a crude example, and we'll show it more on a horse later, but this is just something to get us started and get us thinking about the process. On my riding simulator here, I've got two reins. These are probably 7.5 foot leather reins, and we call that split reins. And we cross those reins over our horse's neck like this, okay? And we'll ride in a crossed rein. And we're going to hold our reins like this, where I want to be able to see my thumbnails as I ride. And I'm going to take my hands and I'm going to, like squeezing water out of a sponge, I'm going to take him and I'm going to bend his jaw. And I'm going to try not to get my hands above the horn of my saddle. So as I ride him along, I want to feel his tongue and I want to feel the corners of his mouth like elastic. I don't want to put a lot of pressure in his mouth. I want him to give his head and to give his jaw and yield. So if he's not doing that, you have to back up now and do your homework, like we'd shown you in other videos on how to soften his poll and how to soften his jaw. So once we've accomplished that on the ground and we've accomplished that in hand, we're going to come up here and we're going to ask him to give that jaw like this, and we'll ride him in a cross rein like this. So then when we transition to one-handed, we can just come like this, and then maybe we'll twist our wrist a little bit. It's kind of cheating, but it's a good way to do it, all right? So then we can reach up like this and ride him like this. Sometimes I'll drop him and I'll hold one rein in each hand, kind of like this. But I always want to make sure I can see my thumbnails. And I like my pinky finger is split between my three other fingers. So I can take that rein and work it just like this. Work it just like this. Okay? Some people ride with a flat hand. That's not correct. Some people ride with their hands up like this. That's not correct. We want to ride with our hands in about a 45-degree angle. So try that when you do that and feel how your shoulders open up and feel how you're able to maintain balance better when your hands at a 45-degree angle, just like that. And just always remember, when I look down, I want to be able to see my thumbnails, okay? So now, when we go to riding one-handed, we're going to have a little shank bit, very mild, with a little curb. We can ride that horse two-handed in that little shank bit. Then I can reach over here and I can grab my reins like this and ride him one-handed. And I'm going to gather those reins up even to where I can twist my wrist and guide his nose in either direction. Okay. And then the day will come where I can hold my reins like this and ride him one-handed. So it's not about neck reining like some people just want to neck rein their horse. Well, that's kind of sale barn riding to me. I want to be able to take that rein and touch his neck and take my leg and move his shoulder too. And that all works in, one works with the other, okay? So you see people all the time take and try to neck rein their horse, and they just drag the reins over their horse's neck like this. Well, see, when that happens, you're pulling on this rein. You want to go this way. You're pulling on this rein, and actually you're giving him direct guidance to go right, but you're asking him to go left. So what you have to do when you ride one-handed like this, you have to pull a bubble in that rein like this. So I've got my rein in my right hand like this. I've got my rein split like this in my hand in my left. So I can take and condition him now to that neck rein. But notice this rein has no pressure on it. I'm guiding his nose, but I'm also giving him rein pressure here. So as time goes on, I can reduce that and I can regulate that to where if he just feels that rein on his neck, then he'll turn, okay? But what I don't want to do is just drag his head around like you see on the cowboy movies where they get on the horse and they just drag their head around like this. No, we're going to take and hold our reins like this. And see these reins, it's not a good example, but see how thicker they are at the end than they are up here? Well, that produces weight, so I can take and gather these reins and manage these reins with the weight on the end of those reins to where I can manage these reins properly. But when I ride one-handed, I'm going to ride just like this, okay? I'm going to ride just like this, just like this. I'm going to hold the tail in my right hand, like this. And then when I ride two-handed, I'm going to split, cross over like this. You can ride like this. You can ride like this. A lot of times I see everybody riding like this a lot of times. That's okay. And then you can take them, put them together like that. You're riding down the trail, you ride like this. No problem. And we'll get into this more and we start doing our mounted work. But this is just a good idea for you to get an idea of what we're thinking about. And I don't care if you're English riding, Western riding, doesn't matter. It's the same hand placement. It's the same way you hold your reins. You want to ride that horse with feel, just like that.